So that is an important part of being a city. In terms of the grocery store, clearly we get it and we're working on it, and we hope to have a good announcement on that very soon. It will be, there was a comment earlier about the tipping point, and you know, we'll admit that the mayor is being very aggressive with it, trying to kind of push. It's synergistic, and that goes to that chicken or the egg question in terms of retail. Just quickly on that point, one of the things talking about government subsidy earlier is to see all of these first floor, not all, but many of the first floor spaces filling up at this point in time with retail. So it's getting there, undoubtedly, and again, we hope to have a good announcement soon.
With significant redevelopment occurring in many areas of the city, do you see the Broadway Market, Broadway and Fillmore area becoming redeveloped, and when?
We own significant property around that area. It's going to be a while before something happens over there. You're going to see many other parts of the city, obviously, well before that. Just housing, as we keep talking housing, over there, it's very difficult. The housing stock is old. Not many owner-occupied units left over there. There's still a lot of crime over in that area. Until some more of that is cleaned up, we start seeing transformation in that area, similar to what you see on the west side right now. Probably not going to see growth in that area in the near future.
Nick, do you want to?
I would agree. You know, see my earlier comment about you gotta work off of strong neighborhoods. You know, you just can't say, oh, there's a central terminals there, so we have to force development around it. It's just not going to happen. You got to start from a position of strength.
What has been the effect of the existing building code on rehab of buildings for housing? Brendan, do you want to try to talk about that first?
Well, the building code is a state building code, and maybe I'm being a lawyer when I say that as opposed to zoning code. So if we're talking about the building code, I'd say that it's been the mayor's objective with Jim Comfort and others to help to facilitate and work with the development community to get the projects done. Just quickly, in terms of Harbor Center, which I know which wasn't a rehab project, the speed with which that happened still awes many people from outside of the area, done according to code. That Jim has instituted a new program where he stamps the plans so that developers can get going faster on the projects at their own risk if there's an issue with the building code. But it can be a significant impediment. Working with the business community and the development community, we've tried to remove it as an impediment so that good development can happen in the city of Buffalo.
To build off that question a little bit further and then open it up also, what effect do you think the Green Code will have, assuming that is adopted once it's adopted?
Well, the intent of the Green Code is to make good development happen faster. And good development. What is that? It's a very subjective term in terms of good development. Well, there's a reason that we spent time having literally hundreds of meetings with the community and engaging well over 5,000 people at this point from the community. We held general meetings within council districts. We targeted specifically communities that have not seen the growth yet on the east side of Buffalo, on the lower west side of Buffalo, senior citizens, the disabled, to have them give input into really defining what good development is, because again, it's subjective. And what we've heard is something that's built on 20 years of planning, which I give a lot of credit to Dean Shibley from the UB School of Architecture for guiding, which is people want Buffalo only better. They love the bones that we have in Buffalo, and they just want to see the development that is built complement what is there. And that is what we've heard again, and that is what the objective of the Green Code is in terms of helping good development happen at a rate that everybody wants to see it.
How about you guys from the perspective of developers? Green Code good? Green Code not good?
I have to be honest, until I work a couple projects through the green code, I'm going to reserve judgment. I think fundamentally, conceptually, it's great. I think there's going to be a learning curve for everybody that may be challenging at first, but I think ultimately it's going to be spectacular. We'll see.
I agree with Jake. One of the things that I want to point out, to give credit to Brendan and the folks at City Hall, is they're really great to work with, and that's key. And, we reserve judgment too, because we want to see how flexible things are in the green code. Once there's something there that in practice isn't so as good as it sounds on paper, but we get a lot of credit for doing these projects, but things are dramatically different at City Hall now than they've been historically in terms of progress and getting things worked through the system faster, and it doesn't happen without a lot of effort and leadership. And it starts with the mayor and Brendan, and an unsung hero is Commissioner Comerford. You talk about it. I mean, I think we all come here and say great things about that gentleman in terms of getting the job done and making sure that when there's an obstacle, he's always thinking about a way around it, and that matters. We have leadership in our local government here locally. Since I was a little kid and grew up, that was the first criticism. Oh my God, the government here is so hard to work with, and it's gotten significantly better in the last 5 to 10 years.
One of the things that people will talk about sometimes, and you certainly hear this obviously at times in suburbs, is the concern about what people might call runaway development or bad development in whatever way that they're phrasing it. Is that a concern for Buffalo, and how can it be addressed, prevented?
It's always a concern as in the community. I think that one of the things I've always said, and I've been involved in controversial developments primarily in the suburbs more than in the city, ironically, because the city was found to be a little more for development. I think that for a community really should sit down in a civilized way. First of all, the developer's got to recognize who the stakeholders are. And it's your investors, it's everyone involved in the project, it's the tenants, it's the city of Buffalo, it's the community in which you build in the immediate environment, and then from there, the city itself. So you got to recognize that. That's number one. Number two, the other issue too is the fact that it should not be a polarizing issue. It shouldn't be whether this project should go or not. And what bothers me sometimes is all of a sudden in a group you have these closet economists that say there's no need for your project in the marketplace. And it's like, okay, thank you for that market study, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. And but the issue should be is the quality of the project. That should be the number one focus. And it should be done in a collaborative way. And so if the focus is not on if the project should happen, but how it impacts the community, you work on that, then you'll be able, it gives the developer and all the stakeholders more of a win-win situation, as opposed to if you focus on the if part, if it should happen, usually there's a lot of losers when that happens. I've seen that time and time again.
Brendan alluded before to a lot of projects, still needing incentives. What will it take, for the community to reach the point where incentives are not needed?
I think you need economic horsepower, and we're moving in that direction. It's a product of population growth. We're not losing population for the first time in a long time, but there's been no significant growth. So I just in the past 5 weeks I've been in Chicago, New York City, LA, and San Francisco, and last time I looked at the demographics, all those cities were growing, and they're the definition of boom city, boom towns. So how do you create population, you create jobs, you create an environment people want to live in? I think those things are happening. So hopefully
Bill, Nick, Paul, any?
I agree with Jake here. We've had some great progress for 3 to 5 years here, but it's only been 3 to 5 years. We get subsidies sometimes about 5 to 10 years, and us as developers, our hope is that within that time frame, we'll see further economic growth in our city. Economic growth is new jobs for people, so new people moving here because of those jobs. I was telling Paul, I think earlier, on the last 50 leases I've signed in my building, 40 of them were for people from the suburbs moving into Buffalo, for people outside of New York State, all for management technology, for bioinformatics, for the medical campus, for IBM moving here, for Solar City. That's great to see, but we need more things like that. For the next 5 to 10 years, our population has to increase for everything we're doing right now to be sustainable, or else you're going to see us fall back. People, it will be a bit of a bubble, and we'll take a step back if that doesn't happen. So our community leaders, not only on the development side, have to be, I don't want to say subsidizing and helping out, but more economic incentives on the business side from the state and from the local leaders, which they've been doing to get more business in this area.
With everything that's happening, and there's certainly been a lot of, obviously talk about all the positive developments and the increased property values that Brendan was alluding to before as well. Is there concern about the negative effects of gentrification? And how do all of us work to prevent that? With the developers, the city, people?
I think what we really have to do as a community is create more wealth for everyone. It just can't be certain sectors of a demographic or certain sectors of the economy. You really have to create broad-based wealth growth in this community. You can't leave out, we have a serious issue about poverty in this community and in this city. And we have to raise the tide so all boats are lifted. And, if you do that, because population growth is a very difficult thing to do. The Northeast, except for a couple of cities like Boston and New York, are demographically challenged. As much as I think Pittsburgh is farther along growing their economy than we are and transforming their economy, they still have demographic challenges there. But one thing they've been able to do is create more wealth within their community. I think first and foremost, we have to look at creating more wealth. If we continue to do that, and we don't have population loss, it would be good, because I don't want a community of 2 million people. Because even though those cities that you talk about, boom cities, the Seattles of the world, talk to people who live there. It comes at a big expense of quality of life. And the cost of living and just pure quality of life. I think Buffalo has the ability right now to hit that sweet spot of some good wealth creation, hopefully broad-based, still maintain a great sense of community, a great quality of life, and not get too far over our skis where we're going to say, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. Boy, I remember when things were cheaper and we didn't have all these traffic problems or we're too crowded as a city. So I really think that we have the opportunity to do it right, and because we can see other cities that, unfortunately had too much growth, and it's choking them in terms of the quality of life and the cost of living.
So you mean when the average commute becomes, God forbid, 25 minutes?
Yes. Walkable commute.
There you go. What about senior housing, affordable senior housing?
You should talk to Jake about
They'll be taking this outside afterward.
I don't know that I'm really the guy to answer that, other than the fact that I could be in a senior home.
I'll answer that one, because we're doing a project on Kensington, right behind Sisters Hospital. We're doing a ton on the east side currently, and planning to do in the future. And there's a huge demand for affordable senior housing in the city, specifically at the east side of Main Street. When we did the market study for this project, Brendan knows it was off the charts. We're building 40 units. We can probably fill 240 units immediately. With it's in the same thing. There hasn't been supply in decades for new senior housing. So folks are aging in this population in this community, and so I think it's a huge opportunity.
Last question, and playing off a little bit on the east side, a reference also there. Would an extension of Metro Rail in either or any of several different directions, would it help with a lot of the housing growth and redevelopment downtown, say if it went out more to the suburbs, or if it went out to the central terminal, out to the airport, etc.?
I think we need a very comprehensive look at mass transit in this community, period. I mean, I was with a group of developers in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and there were two developers, one in Dallas, one in Denver. And we all know they're not mass transit-oriented communities. And they were looking at this thing going, transit-oriented development in Denver? You gotta be kidding me. In Dallas, are you kidding me? They just built bigger highways. And they were surprised at how well it really took off and worked in their community. I think the MFTA's got to be at the table more in looking at on the planning side and be more of an integral part of everything that we're doing. I know they're trying, they're challenged when it comes to their funding, but clearly for all this to work, we need to have a comprehensive mass transit system. It's not just Metro Rail, because Jonathan, I'm old enough to remember that that was the Holy Grail in 1979. That was going to solve everything, and it didn't. So I don't want us to see us think that that's the next Hail Mary pass, is another more of the same, connecting it to somewhere else, unless we take a comprehensive look at transit-oriented development and mass transit, period.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Maker to wrap up.
I want to thank you all again for attending our program tonight. There'll be others during the year, and again, another round of thanks for our panelists and our hosts. Now I need to scramble to find my report, so I think John might have taken it. But I think we're good. So thank you again for coming, and have a great night. Safe travels.
Good to see you always.